If it goes off again, we're not logging back on. So if y'all lose me again, that's it for today. I'm sorry. I don't know. It has taken me all this time to get back on. So I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. It's all over the building. So, well, let me see if I can locate what we were talking about. And let me share this with you. I have a list of types of classroom technologies that I wanted to share with you. So if I don't get to share those with you, I will embed that in your 493. For those of you who are 499, I don't know how I'll get it. Maybe I'll have Lynn to send it to you, but we'll see. Let's see. Let me go to ETS. As soon as I get that, I'll share it. And let's see. Well, let me see if I can find one more thing. Why don't I do this? Let me share this with you because I don't want to lose you. And then I'll go back to the PPAT task. I don't want you to get stuck. I just want to share some classroom technology ideas with you so that you will understand some of the kinds of things that you can use. Of course, this lists a whiteboard. All right, just want you to know that. Flipped learning, desktops and laptops are considered. Projectors, video conferencing classroom technologies, mobile learning, television, computer networking, distance learning, virtual field trips. It says word processing applications. So if you had to utilize that in a lesson, I just wanted to share those with you. 3D printing. Because most of the time people think that you need to use things like Padlet and those types of, I was trying to see if I had my notebook where you have to, students are interactive. Those are wonderful, and if you can find them, it's awesome to use, but it does not have to be. And I wanted to share that with you because the lady from ETS shared that with us. So I just wanted to give you an idea of some other things that you could utilize other than just always maybe using a program that's part of a whiteboard. So I hope that helps. And if you can just look, let me see. It's called Types of Classroom Technologies by Modern Consumers. So if you want to look that up, you can. I'll try to embed that somewhere for you. So let's go back to the requirements for task 4. Stephen, did I answer your question? No, I'm supposed to get an answer for you, right?
No. So well, I would love an official answer from a staff member, but in our chat, we had discussed using parts of an assessment or printing out an exit slip and using one of those as a piece of a sample of student work.
Okay.
Does that suffice, you believe?
And tell me give me an example of what you think would be on the exit ticket. What kind of thing, what kind of exit ticket would you ask for?
So, for example, we're doing a health lesson on sugar consumption and energy drinks, and before they would leave, it was a fact or fiction exit slip such as the sugar give you strength, the sugar give you energy. Are energy drinks a good source of complex carbohydrates, right? It's like just stuff they would have learned in the class.
Well, I can see that, but I was just thinking if it was a physical activity. I thought that was the question or the concern.
Well, I mean, ideally it's physical education. We're going to be doing 95% activity, but in order to cater to this requirement,
Okay.
I would feel like I'd have to create something that I normally wouldn't be doing.
Well, true. Um, but let me ask the question for you for physical. And I tell you something else we could probably do. Have you looked at the library of examples for physical education for that particular area?
Yeah, and a lot of people have the students, matching terms and pictures, but my mentors have really nailed it in that I mentioned it in a group chat before as well. Like it's physical education. If you're spending the 30 minutes you get to see them once or twice a week on writing papers or reading and instruction, then you're not really getting the job done. So why waste the 30 minutes you have to see them during that week with them sitting down, matching images? Get them out there and actually move and learn and socialize and learn things.
Yes, but it's also health and physical ed, and sometimes we do have to write, and it doesn't always have to be that. So I think going back to the comment that you made, I feel like I have to create something to meet the requirements of the task. That may be so, but I think that within your intellect, I think you might be able to do it in a way that it won't take away from your physical activity. I think you can figure it out, work it out, but I will ask the question for you because I don't know. And I'll be honest with you, most of the time I look at the task. It's unfortunate. I look at elementary ed because that's my area. But I will try to look over the health and physical education as well and make a call. I will talk to Professor Lancaster to see as well because he's a professor for health and physical ed, and he may be able to help us. And did you ever contact him?
No, I was waiting.
Okay.
No, but I'll reach out to you on the side. I kept that email open, but I never heard back from him. But okay, we'll talk on the side.
Okay, well, touch with him too as well. Okay, questions, comments, concerns. Okay, so here we are, composing your written commentary. Of course, the step one is planning, implementing, all of that, understanding your two focus students, reflecting, and of course, uploading your video. The contextual information, you already know that, you've had that, it's been developed, so you upload that in the text box. So we're implementing the plan 421. Let me make sure, because this thing will slide and I'll skip things. I want to make sure. Okay, 411, goals and student background, the guiding prompts. What learning goals and standards did you identify for the class and explain how they were appropriate for the lesson that you were teaching to meet the needs of the student? Your whole class data, it says what whole class data did you use to establish? Whatever it was you used to establish baseline to measure student growth, you will explain that, and please do a thorough job in doing so. And it says, how did your students' prior knowledge and background information influence your planning process? Always remember to check on students' prior knowledge to see what they already know before moving forward with your lesson. It's tough. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm having difficulty today. Let me see if I can just do it like this. 412, instructional strategies. How do you plan to use your academic content language to advance the understanding of the concept being taught in this lesson? Academic content language, it refers to your particular area, and then explain or provide a rationale as to how you use it to help the students to understand. Then it was how do you plan to engage your students in critical thinking? If you look at your lesson plans, you should have those critical thinking question stems or levels that you've been working on if you were 303 or 304. So you should be used to that. And a reason as to how you can promote learning by using the critical thinking skills. questioning skills, that's critical thinking if you use those question stems. And all they ask you to do is provide a rationale. But look at D, it says, how do you plan to integrate literacy into the content you will teach to promote student learning? So there has to be some type of piece of literacy that you're going to use in your subject area. Health and physical ed, what you gonna do? Okay, but you just have to remember. So here again, it goes back to your statement. It looks like you're gonna have to create something in order to be able to meet the intent of this task. Textbook 413, text box. Describe the activity. I don't want to read this to you, but I feel it's quicker. Describe the activity or activities that are the main focus of the lesson plan. What's the main focus of the lesson plan? And explain how you design the activities to anticipate and address student learning needs. Activities. What activity did you provide during your lesson that would help you, I guess, to evaluate the needs of the student, the learning needs of the student? And describe how you would monitor student learning during the course of the lesson. So it might be an example where you have some informal evaluations. Raise your hand if you understand. Thumbs up, thumbs down, not so. Maybe use paddles, yes, no, or those kinds of things in order to assess the students informally during the lesson. And then, of course, what work samples will you require the students to submit as part of the assessment of student learning? If you look back at your assessment plan, that is part of that. How are you going to evaluate the objective that you taught? What activity will you require the students to submit? Will it be handwritten? Will it be you as a teacher to document, especially if it's health and physical education, that all your students did their sit-ups and you just documented it on your checkoff list? So it's whatever activity you're going to use, then that's what you need to share. Student work samples, and how will these responses be integrated into the lesson plan? For example, if 50% of the students met the goals and objective or the intent of the objective, then how are you going to incorporate that in your lesson plans in the upcoming lessons? And then tell us why you provide a rationale for your choice of student work samples. Why did you use that particular? I'm telling y'all, I don't know. This is must not be my day. Excuse me. Oh. Okay. Let's see. All right. Let's see if I can make it move a little bit. Let's see. Okay. Implementing the plan. 421. How did you use the academic content language to advance the understanding of the concept being taught? Cite examples. Always go back to your video. And how did you engage students in critical thinking to promote learning? Cite examples. Go back to your video. How did you use questioning skills to promote student learning? Cite examples from the video. And how did you integrate literacy into the content you taught to promote student learning? Examples from the video. So if it were me, I'd jot all these things down and I'd check them off as I put them into my lesson plan. So that would kind of make it a little bit easier for you to know what it is that you needed to do. 421, 422. How did you monitor student learning while teaching the lesson? Hands up, yes, no. Informal, formal. In what ways did evidence of learning guide your instructional decision making while learning? If all the hands went up, you knew you could move on to the next topic. If only half of them went up, you probably knew you needed to go back and clarify some things. And if at the end of the lesson, if you only had 50% of your hands to go up, you probably needed to have that group to do something different and move the other group on. It says cite examples from the video to support your analysis. B, how did you provide feedback to individuals and the whole class to advance student learning? And make sure that you provide examples. And how did you use your verbal and nonverbal communication techniques to foster student learning? Cite examples from the video. Sometimes students aren't paying attention, and you may just walk over to them nicely, maybe pat them on the shoulder, and they straighten up and they continue to, they have drifted off, they're disengaged, and if you can pat them on the shoulder, get them going back into the right direction, get them to pay attention, then that may be some nonverbal. Or verbal could be, okay, are we all paying attention? And don't let it stop, just keep it moving. And that sometimes gathers. Sometimes people have, when the students drift off, you know, there's a, everybody clap back and move on. So those are ideas, some things that you might want to consider. Don't have to, but just how you're going to have, you're going to communicate with your students to make sure that you foster learning, that they drifted away, or that you have some activity that will keep them engaged and on task. 423, classroom management. What classroom management strategy did you use during the lesson? And of course, cite examples of the strategies from the video. It's a lot, y'all, but I know you can do it. In what ways did the strategies engage students to promote a positive learning environment? Cite examples from the video. So everything that you do with this will be from the, make sure that you cite examples from your video. Understanding the two focus student. Focus student 1 and 2 will receive the same type of attention. You must identify the strengths and the challenges for both of those. And then, of course, what data did you use to establish the baseline measure for this student's growth? Baseline use goes back to that what? That pre-test that you gave, if that's what it was. And what evidence will you collect to show his or her progress towards the learning goals? What types of activities, those assessments did you do? Were they formal, informal, or both? If that's what you used, if that's what you collected, then you need to share that with ETS. 431, okay, 441, and the reflection on the whole class. What extent did the students reach the learning goals? Cite examples from your lesson plan and the video or the video that supports your conclusion. Did the students reach the goals? If you look back and you had 75% to master the goal that you set, if you thought that was good, then you need to be able to explain why or why not. And reflect on your instructional strategies. Interact with the students, interactions with your students, your classroom management strategies, and discuss what went well, what areas you would revise in the future. Cite examples from the video. Now here, I need you to take these notes because as a part of the reflection, we were told that this is a question that you need to ask yourself. What are you becoming? And what do you need to do more of? And this needs to be included. We got this from ETS. What do you need to do less of? This is a reflection. What do you need to do better? And what do you need to do different? In my reflection, I would
say that again, please.
Okay. What are you becoming? I can post that also, which if you're 493, but if not, what are you becoming? And what do you do? What to do? What do I do more of? What do I do less of? What do I need to do better? Or what do I need to do differently? Who are you becoming? What do you need to do more of? What do you need to do less of? What do you need to do better? And what do you need to do that needs to be different? Describe revisions that you could make if you were to teach the lesson again. And that right there, what you need to do more of, what do you need to do less of, if anything, what do you need to do better, or what do you need to do differently? Okay, I think that would help that. And then of course, upload your video. Based on the baseline data, student work samples, to what extent did each of the focus students achieve the learning goals of the lesson? And how will you, or your, I'm sorry, y'all, how will your analysis of the baseline data and student work samples guide planning for future lessons for each of those students, focus students? And then, of course, uploading the video. Okay?
Okay, and maybe I missed it, but the video requirements,
Yes.
should we set the camera up to where it is watching us instruct, or should we set it up in like, you know, a distance and watch us and the students interact? What is the best way?
You and the students as much as possible. Okay.
Okay. And
so,
do I have to get permission slips from everyone in the class?
Yes, and ETS probably has one for you, Stephen. Let me find it and tell you where to look for it. But they do have a permission slip that you should use.
Yes, and my question is, because this is going to be a pain, you know, a class of 30, do I have to upload, submit 30?
I think you just hold on to them. I don't think you have to, but that's a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just think you need to have them, but I will, I don't think you have to upload them. I just think you need to get them and keep them.
Oh, absolutely. Because I know that there is a principal one from the website. And it says, you know, upload documents and artifacts. And to upload 30 of those, you're wasting, you know, a whole day messing on a computer.
Right. But I'll research that for you, and I will send an email out regarding that, the what to do's, and we'll talk about the physical education piece. Anybody else? Y'all have any other questions? I'm sorry for the technology issues, but I couldn't help it. All right, you want to say goodnight? Unless you have other questions.
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
So I know the video, it has to be 15 minutes.
Yes.
So if we don't get the whole lesson on there, is that okay? As long as we just get like the majority of it on the video?
As long as you get what has been requested in this task on the video, you're good to go.
Okay, because
especially the areas where they ask you to cite examples from the video. So you're going to have to craft your lesson when you teach it to make sure that as you are teaching it, that you are addressing those issues that they asked you to submit samples for.
Okay. And actually, I have one more question. For the sample work, can that be a picture of them doing something?
It says student work.
Okay, so it needs to be some kind of work. Okay.
I think it needs to be written. It needs to be from the student.
Okay. Okay.
If the sample work is you ask them to draw a picture, then yes, but just not a snapshot of them
Doing something.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
I know. Any other questions? Okay. Good night.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night. You're welcome. Thank you. Oh, Lord.